Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update from RAU'S IAS. Do not forget to subscribe to our Telegram channel for all the updates and materials.
Hello and welcome to Daily Prelims Practice, a series of videos where we take up questions from Indian Express and The Hindu and curate them according to prelims examination. The questions that we are taking up today have been displayed on the screen, and let us now begin the discussion with an important announcement.
Hello students, there is an announcement for you regarding the optional classes which we at RAU'S IAS are starting at Bengaluru and New Delhi Center. The optional paper of Public Administration will be taken up by Anubhav Sharma sir at the Bengaluru campus on 26 September from 3:30 p.m. For the history optional subject, orientation class at the Bengaluru campus will be taken up by Parampreet Singh sir on 27th of September from 3:30 p.m. And the orientation for geography as an optional subject will be taken up by Indrajit Bariyar sir on 27th September from 6 p.m. So these three subjects will be taken up at Bengaluru Center. Shobik Sen sir will take up the optional classes for Psychology optional at New Delhi on 28th of September from 3:30 p.m. And this will be followed up by the orientation class of Sociology by Dr. Surendra Singh sir on 28th of September from 6 p.m. onwards. On 29th September, the orientation class will be taken up for PSIR optional by Rahul Puri sir from 3:30 p.m. Whereas on the same day, that is on 29th September from 6 p.m. onwards, orientation classes for the history optional will be taken up by Kritika ma'am and Mathimaran Raju sir. Next, on 30th of September, the orientation class for public administration will be taken up by Dr. V.K. Kaushik sir from 3:30 p.m., which will be followed up by the orientation class for geography optional at New Delhi campus from 6 p.m. on 30th of September by Vineet Thaplu sir. Now these orientation classes will be conducted both online and also in the offline mode. And these classes you can interact with your teachers about the optional subjects, the nature of questions asked, and also the syllabus provided by UPSC.
ASI finds Buddhist caves. Temples in Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve in MP is the inspiration for the first question that we have taken. So the Archaeological Survey of India earlier this year discovered Buddhist caves and stupas and Brahmi inscriptions dating back to 2nd century and Hindu temples from 9th to 11th century and possibly the world's largest Varaha sculptures also dating to the same period. So if you look at this article, from the perspective of prelims examination, two questions can be framed. One is of course on the tiger reserves which have often been asked in the prelims examination, and another is of course art and culture talking about Buddhist caves. Since we have taken a lot of questions dealing with tiger reserves and national parks in the past, let's now take up questions on caves. Also, because in 2013 UPSC had checked us on Indian rock cut architecture, talking about Badami caves, Barabar rock cut caves and Ellora caves, and hence the question. Consider the following pairs. On the left hand side you have caves and on the right hand side you have features of these caves, and you have to tell how many pairs given above are correctly matched. So the first option is Bhimbetka caves and whether they are oldest rock art in India or not, and which is absolutely correct because Bhimbetka rock shelter has the oldest known rock art in India as well as is one of the largest prehistoric complexes to be seen. Now when it comes to the second pair, Udayagiri caves and whether they contain inscription of Chandragupta II or not is also correct because Udayagiri caves, which are located in Vidisha, Madhya Pradesh, contains important inscriptions of Gupta dynasty which just does not include Chandragupta II but also Kumaragupta I. Whereas if we talk about statement 3, which is Karla caves, which indeed have the largest chaityas, and apart from that Karla caves is also one of the older and smaller of the many rock cut Buddhist sites in Maharashtra, but is one of the best known because of the famous Grand Chaitya, which is the largest and most completely preserved Chaitya hall of the period. As well, it contains unusual quantities of fine sculpture, much of it on large scale. So you can see that all three pairs are correctly matched, leading us to the right answer C, all three pairs. Next in line we have a set of two questions inspired from same article. In Nature's Warning Signs, a Nudge to Riparian States, where the author Anwar Sadat talks about the massive floods which have wreaked havoc on Pakistan. But when we talk about India, Assam is one state which is flooded every year, and according to the author, one of the main reasons is the lack of sharing of data on behalf of China. So, two important takeaways from this article. One is that India has signed a memorandum of agreement on sharing of Brahmaputra River with China and the role played by International Court of Justice. So when it comes to prelims, let us first take International Court of Justice because it is an important international organization, and then we will consider an MCQ on Brahmaputra River because every year there is one or two questions at least on rivers. So as you can see, in the past 2018 and 2022, International Court of Justice has been mentioned as the option twice. Although no direct question has been asked, but it is such an important organization that it is important for us to look into this perspective. And hence the question consider the following statements. Statement 1. The member judges of International Court of Justice are nominated by governments of member states on rotation basis, which is absolutely incorrect because member judges of ICJ are elected with absolute majority in both UNGA and UNSC. All state parties to the statute of the court have the right to propose candidates. Such proposals are made not by the government of the state concerned but by a group consisting of the members of the Permanent Court of Arbitration designated by that state. And hence the statement is obviously incorrect. Second statement, verdict of ICJ is binding on the parties and there is no appellate mechanism provided, is correct. Verdict of ICJ is binding on the parties and there is absolutely no appellate mechanism provided. Although member states can approach United Nations Security Council for matters related to non-compliance with ICJ rulings, and hence the right answer is B, 2 only. So if you look at previous year questions, every year there has been one or two questions at least on rivers. For example, in 2017, the question was on Teesta River with respect to the source, with respect to its tributary, and with respect to where it meets the ocean or the sea. And so the question that we have formulated is as follows. Consider the following statements. Brahmaputra is a transboundary river that flows through China and India only, which is of course an incorrect statement because Brahmaputra originates in China, enters India from Arunachal Pradesh, flows through Assam and at last enters into Bangladesh where it is known as Jamuna. Thus Brahmaputra as a transboundary river flows through China, India and Bangladesh. Second statement, India and China share hydrological information throughout the year as per the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the two countries in 2013 is also incorrect because India and China do indeed have an MOU through which they share hydrological information but only during the monsoon flood season, that is from June to September. Further, the MOU does not allow India to access urbanization and deforestation on the Chinese side of the river basin. Hence both the options are incorrect, leading us to the right answer D, none of the above. Next question that we have taken is from an article appearing on page number 1. Center extends free ration scheme for 3 months. So the union government has extended the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana for another 3 months from October 1. This will allow beneficiaries under National Food Security Act to continue to get 5 kg of food grains per person per month till December 31. National Food Security Act 2013 is the flagship scheme of the Government of India to provide subsidized food to the people especially living below poverty line, and hence the question in 2018. And so it is important for us to discuss this question. Which among the following statements related to National Food Security Act 2013 is correct? Statement 1 reads, NFSA seeks to provide food security to 75% of India's population, which is absolutely incorrect because it targets 75% of the rural and 50% of the urban population, totaling to 67% of the overall Indian population and not 75. Statement B, which says all the food grains under NFSA are provided at the same subsidized prices, is also incorrect because the prices under NFSA range from 3 to 1 per kg for rice, wheat and coarse grain respectively. Statement C, the NFSA provides for maternity benefit of Rs 6,000 to pregnant and lactating mothers is of course correct. Whereas statement D, there is no provision of food security allowance under NFSA, is also incorrect. because there is a food security alliance in case of non-supply of food. The next article is again from Economy, but this time it is sourced from Indian Express from page number 25. Bank of England steps in to calm the markets amid IMF warning. So the Bank of England sought to quell the firestorm in Britain's bond markets, saying it would buy as much government debt as needed to restore order after new Prime Minister Liz Truss's tax-cutting plans triggered financial chaos. And hence, this inspires a question on IMF. Not only because it is an important international institution, but also because in 2022, just this prelims, UPSC had asked about rapid financing instruments. So the question for the practice is, the special drawing rights issued by IMF can be used for which among the following? Statement 1 says, held as a part of member countries' forex reserves. So as all of us know, the SDRs were created by International Monetary Fund as an international reserve asset in the year 1969 to supplement its member countries' official reserves. The SDR is a basket of 5 currencies which includes dollar, euro, pound, yen and yuan. The SDRs are allocated to member countries in proportion to their IMF quotas. And so, SDRs can be held as a part of forex reserves, hence statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 says member countries can sell a part or all their SDR allocations, which is also correct. Which is also correct because member countries can sell a part or complete package of their SDRs. Third statement says SDRs can be exchanged into other freely usable currency, which is also correct because they indeed can be exchanged into other freely usable currencies among themselves, and this signifies that SDR is neither claim nor currency of IMF. Rather, it is potential claim on freely usable currencies of IMF members. And finally, fourth statement is also correct because SDRs can be used for increasing the IMF quota. IMF members can also use their SDRs in their transaction with IMF, such as repayment of loans, payment of interest, payment for increasing their own quota and so on. And hence the right answer in this case would be D 1, 2, 3 and 4. Also, if you had just known that SDRs can be used for increasing the IMF quota, you could have solved this question because D is the only option which contains the fourth statement. So when you practice prelims test series, these are the kind of things which you learn, apart from, of course, the knowledge. The next article is Globe-Changing Reverberations of the Ukraine War, where the author mentions about the Global South. Now, when we read editorials, we often tend to ignore terms like these. But if you look at the previous year questions, terms like these are often asked. For example, in 2015, the question was about the term INDAC. In 2016, UPSC had asked about the term Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, and a very basic question as, what is the context these terms appear in the newspaper for? And hence the practice question. In the context of international relations, a term Global South sometimes seen in news is related to, and the right answer is of course B, countries which are less developed socio-economically, lying primarily outside the Europe and North America. So the concept of global North and global South, North-South divide in a global context, is used to describe a grouping of countries along socio-economic and political characteristics.